I heard a lot about the transhumans. The I think it's what you're talking about.
I don't talk about transhumans, but other people do. It's people trying to extend human life by adding machines when the body breaks.
Yeah.
So artificial intelligence, machine-based limbs. Scientists recently accomplished what used to sound like science fiction. They did the first head transplant of a human being. They took the head and the brain of a man who was fully functional here. He'd been injured in war, and so his body was not functional. They took all of his mind and his brain and his head, and they transplanted him onto the body of a man that was fully functional, and it appears to be working. Other people, you know, with the prosthetics that are computerized, are actually giving people abilities that humans don't have, and this is a problem. So in the Olympics, for example, if you have legs that are made of prosthetics and you're using computers to fire the nervous system, does that give this person an advantage over a mere human, or is it a disadvantage? I mean, these are the kinds of moral questions we have to come to terms with. I don't know the answer, but what I do know is this. I know that your body, I'm going to talk to you because this is you, that the science of epigenetics is telling us very, very clearly that our bodies are designed to regenerate, cells are designed to regenerate. Every organ in the human body has now been documented with the ability to heal itself, even the organs we were told could not. Brain tissue, spinal cord tissue, pancreatic tissue, heart tissue. However, we have to give those organs the right environment within which to do this. That environment, it can be an external environment, it can be nutrition, it can be the inner environment of emotion, but given the right environments, we are designed to rejuvenate, to regenerate, so we don't need those machines. And that, for me, personally, that's where my passion. This is about human potential. What is the potential that we have while we're in this world, and how do we maximize that potential?
And so healing is part of it.
Healing is
ourselves
is a big part of it. Yeah.
So right now I have that fear terrible. I can't hear very much. So you're saying I could actually heal it with the right environment.
Did you go to a lot of Led Zeppelin concerts when you were young?
You're saying that I'm old?
No, I did too. I'm in my 60s.
You look good. Sorry, I'm picking up this. Sorry.
Jefferson Airplane and Led Zeppelin were my first concerts. I sat on the front row in front of those big speakers.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I went to a lot of concerts, and I was going to a lot of clubs, so clubbing a lot in my time, dancing a lot. I still love it.
I can see that.
I still love it though. What's your favorite song? Oh, do you like dancing?
Dancing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like dance. I like all kinds of dancing. You know, I spend a lot of time with indigenous cultures. I don't always know the language. Music is universal.
Yes.
Dancing is universal.
I'm glad you're saying that.
Tea is universal.
Oh.
Every culture has their own tea. I collect tea.
I love tea.
From all over the world. And flutes. I collect flutes from every indigenous culture.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, some of them are wood, some are steel, some are clay, some are bamboo. You know, some are hardwood, high pitched, some are softwood, low pitched. I mean, that's the way it is. So yeah, dancing is part of the universal language.
I have a question that's coming up for me right as you speak. So do you think there's a link between spirituality and nutrition? Do you think?
Yeah, I do, and I'll tell you, I never separated spirituality from everyday life. I never said this is my spiritual life and this is the rest of my life. For me, this is a spiritual moment that I'm having with you right now. Every moment is spiritual. Yeah. And when you think about it that way, when you nourish your body, what could be more spiritual? Being very conscious and very mindful of what you allow to pass through your lips into your body. Oh. That is, for me, a deeply spiritual practice. And I go back, I've studied the recovered texts from the ancient Essenes. They were a mysterious sect. They appeared 500 years before the time of Jesus, and they were master healers. And Jesus was an Essene master. Wow. So not as a religious man, but as a teacher. And when his students asked him, they said, Master, what should we eat? What food should we take into our bodies? He gave them an answer 2,000 years ago that is just as powerful today. And what he said is this: rather than saying, you know, eat these, don't eat this, stay away from these, forget all that. He said, that which gives life to your food will give life to your body, and that which destroys your food will destroy your body. Therefore, eat only what gives life to your food. Makes perfect sense. If you eat live food, you're going to benefit from that. If you eat processed food that is not actually food at all, it's chemicals put together in a package, your body is going to respond to that as well. I'm not going to say it's right, wrong, good, or bad, it's a choice. And my choice is to honor my body with the highest quality of nutrition at every meal that is available. So if I'm on an airplane and that's all they have, that's the highest quality that's available. When I get off the plane, I can make new choices. But if you know that you can eat better and you still allow yourself to eat crappy food, don't be surprised if your body begins to reflect that.
To react.
That's a good question. Thank you.
Thank you. I also wanted to ask you about peace in the world, because I believe that everybody's fighting for the truth, for religion, for God.
That's a problem. They're fighting.
Right?
They're fighting. Yeah.
How do we achieve peace in this world?
Well, I think we all know peace is more than the absence of war. You can stop the war, but it doesn't mean you're going to make peace. You can stop the war and people are still angry inside. So the only way that we achieve that is we've got to think differently than we ever have before. And that's why I do what I do, Joe Dispenza does what he does. We're sharing and showing the new discoveries that give us the reasons to think differently, because we live our lives based upon the way we think of ourselves. And we've been told a story. We're steeped in a story of separation, conflict, scarcity, competition, and it's a lie. The scientific basis for Darwin's theory of evolution and what it says to us has been overturned. 150 years of that science is now overturned. It simply has not made it into the mainstream, but it is with real scientists, not pop scientists that you're going to see on TV, on the cable channels or on the news stations. I mean, real scientists. Peer-reviewed science is telling us nature is based upon cooperation. Evolution is a fact. As a geologist, I can tell you, however, it is not the human story. Humans are not the product of Darwin's idea of evolution. The DNA studies are now telling us that something happened to our DNA. 200,000 years ago, we showed up. What happened is not the product of evolution, slow, gradual change over a long period of time. It happened, boom, all at once. Like that, humans appeared, AMH, anatomically modern humans. We haven't changed. Since we showed up 200,000 years ago, we are the anatomically modern humans. Why did that happen? The DNA was shifted 200,000 years ago and tweaked to make that happen. I talk about it in my new book. Who's responsible? We don't know. Every tradition has their story. The Hindus have their story, the Christians have their story, the Buddhists have their story, the indigenous people, natives of North America have their story, the Aboriginal people have their story. Science has had a story called evolution, and now DNA is telling us a new story. So my sense is, as we allow the science to reveal the deepest truths of our existence, it will bring us full circle, and we're going to know ourselves better, and that is how we create peace in the world. It's a long answer to a short question.
No, that's beautiful, though.
So I don't know how we're doing on time.
That's on time. 20 minutes. What time is it for you?
I don't know, is it 3 o'clock?
Yes.
It is. Okay, I'll have to go in just a couple of
minutes.
Okay.
I want to ask you a question that's really important to me personally.
I want to answer your personal question.
Thank you, Greg. Because I've been in domestic violence for a long time, and I'm passionate about, women empowerment. But specifically, what I'm passionate about is really men and women equality, and not the equality that society portrays with that aggression. I'm a feminist, and more like, how do we build equality in a matter that is really fulfilling each other, men and women, in a mutual way? That is my question.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. We are the product of a story, and the story has been male-dominated for a long time. The church was male-dominated. A beautiful example, when you look at the ancient texts that make up the Christian Bible, I'm just going to do this as an example.
Yeah.
And you say, how come there's no women in the Bible? Well, women authors. There were, and the women wrote books that were part of the biblical texts until they were edited out in the 4th century. And we know that because they were recovered in Egypt in the Nag Hammadi library. So there was the Gospel of the Birth of Mary, for example, is a very powerful text of Mary Magdalene. There was a woman who wrote an entire book that was titled Thunder Perfect Mind, which is so powerful. And this woman, she said, she said in the text, it begins, she says, I am the whore and I'm the holy one.
I love that.
She says,
oh my God.
I am the master and I am the slave. She said,
wow.
I am the rich and I am the pauper. Inside of me lives every possibility that you will ever live in your life. Why do you hate me when I represent all things possible? Why do you stone me to death at the city gates? Yeah. That's a powerful text.
Very powerful.
So I can see the church fathers, the men, they're going down the list. Which books do we keep? Which ones? Oh, this one, that's got to go.
That's
you know,
gotta go.
Because it is a very empowering text. I think the way that we find that equality is we have to choose it. And I see it happening in some places, and I see it more in indigenous cultures where, I mean, I've been in indigenous cultures where only the women are allowed to vote.
Right.
Because men and women think very differently, and men are thinking more about survival, while women are thinking more about nurturing.
Yes.
So when it comes to the policies of the community, nurturing has to come first. We live in a world dominated by men whose ideas are based upon survival, and they believe that they have to fight for that survival, and that's the problem that we're seeing in the world. One of the really interesting things, this is the 33rd year that I've done this work, and I've traveled every continent, not every nation, but every continent. And one of the things I know is that the people, our brothers and sisters, we know how to get along. It's not us having the problem. It's a handful of people in positions of power that are having the problems. And when it comes to men and women and equality, it's the same. I think it's the same. If we can become very mindful of what it is that's happening and why these things are happening, we begin to see one another differently. But I honestly believe it begins by knowing ourselves first, because when a man knows the full extent of his power, he's no longer threatened by a woman's power. If a man, in our culture, men's power has been denied. We are the most powerful men. The most powerful thing that we have access to is emotion, and we've been told to discount our emotions. So the better that men know themselves and they're able to embrace their truest power, then the power of a woman is no longer threatening, and we have more of a partnership.
How beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
How beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you soon again. Thank you.
Have beautiful gypsy travels.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Are we on camera doing this?
I don't know.